Frosty is a 2024 American Christmas romantic comedy film directed by Jerry Cicciariti, written by Russell Hainline and starring Lacey Chabert, Dustin Milligan, who I must say, Katie Mixon Greer, Lauren Holly, Rochelle Staus, Joe Lo Trulio, and Craig Robinson, playing Craig Robinson.
You're not a fan?
I will get to it momentarily.
All right, then.
Chabert plays Kathy, a widow who counters her loneliness with a magical snowman brought to life, portrayed by Milligan. It was released on Netflix on November 13th, 2024. Of all three of these, it has the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at an 85 from 26 critics, and it's 6 out of 10. So I think Metacritic gave it a 52 out of 100 based on 10 critics. And I'll tell you, it's my favorite, and it's, I think, the best of the three of these by a large margin. There's a pitch meeting on this. The critically acclaimed guys reviewed this. This has been the talk of the town. So real quick, I won't do it in a real long plot synopsis, but basically we have a lonely widow whose home is in disrepair, and while she at least is minimally functional, she is sort of stuck in place after the death of her husband from cancer. She has friends in the community. Those friends run a thrift store, and the lady who runs the thrift store gives her a scarf saying, "Hey, I came upon this scarf. I feel like I got it for a reason, and I'm giving it to you because I feel like you need it." And she was like, "What the fuck I need the scarf for?" So she takes to the streets of Baltimore, and she walks by a snowman sculpting contest. One of the snowmen is sculpted like one of them Greek sculptures, Greek god sculptures, just all abbed out and everything. We do not know, nor do I think it is worth pondering whether or not it is anatomically correct. Let's just go with the Christmas magic, 10-year-old boys and weirdos that thought about these things. And it has no clothing and it has no scarf. And so she's like, "You seem to need this more than I do." So she puts the scarf around its neck, and voila, Christmas miracle. This thing, like Pinocchio, comes to life. And there's a whole extended sequence of this toddler in a hot man's body going, "I'm human and I'm naked and I'm running around." It's the whole thing. So he falls ass backwards into the thrift shop, breaking the glass, which fucking that's like ECW fucking Hollywood glass there. It was the least believable thing in the movie, and how easy that shattered, and how he wasn't cut to pieces.
Yeah,
but
right.
I digress. So he steals himself some overalls and some galoshes, and he finds his way to Lacey Chabert, who thinks she's a lunatic, and why wouldn't she? She's sane. They over the course of time, he at least convinces her that he's not going to kill her, and she feels somewhat bad for the guy in his situation. So she takes him in and just says, "Don't get into trouble. Stay here, watch TV." And like an AI is able to learn our human ways through the course of watching television. The first thing he does is learn to cook. The second thing he does is learn to do home repair. So while he's there, he fixes the stairs, he fixes the leak in the roof, a couple of other things he does. Because he's a snowman, he likes to be outside where it's cold, and he's out there, in just a t-shirt or no shirt on. And of course, the middle-aged women of the neighborhood see him and go, and so now he's running around town, shirt or no shirt, helping them with their home repairs as well, which then leads to him getting a job at the school, helping them set up for a school dance, and where he becomes a friend of the children. But because he did fall ass backwards through a pane of glass, we have a sheriff who was our villain in this movie. He's played by Craig Robinson, playing Craig Robinson, and he's an asshole. And he is absolutely obsessed with bringing down the man who shattered a single pane of glass and stole a single item of clothing. And he is joined by Boyd. What's his character's name from
Brooklyn
Brooklyn
Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine?
Oh, I cannot
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
But
that's
I
his
know, yeah,
deputy.
that's exactly and it
Yeah,
felt like they was doing the same role almost. There was a
kind of.
few more, yeah, there were a few more differences, but really, that's what I got from it.
So, over the course of time, while that's happening with him, these two characters are forming bonds. He learns of the death of her husband via cancer, and there was discussions about how the death of her husband affected her, and the home is sort of symbolic of her not taking care of herself. Which if you missed it, the movie will just tell you she has stopped taking care of herself and is just minimally functioning due to the loss of the love of her life. They eventually fall in love. They kiss at the dance. Um, I can't remember exactly how Craig Robinson figures out that he's the one that broke the glass, but he arrests him on Christmas Eve. And despite Lacey Chabert telling him repeatedly, he's a fucking snowman, you psycho. Please, please don't
Who's
make
the
him too
psycho here?
hot.
Somebody comes to me and says he's the snowman. Who's the psycho?
We can.
And the whole town believes him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, he was hot and helpful. That usually sells it for people.
Apparently.
So, all right. Long story short, he nearly dies in the jail cell from being overheated because he's a snowman. The town comes together to try to bond him out, but it's too late, and he dies in the snow. And like Snow fucking White, she kisses him, and through the magic of Christmas miracles, he becomes a real boy. He gets up and he's cold because it's cold outside, and he's a human now. And they live happily ever after. They go to Hawaii. He buys her a home repair book, and it's just great and warmed my heart. So I'll give my thoughts at the end, but I want to hear from you guys because I've been talking a while and I need to drink. I'm drinking tonight. Mik, what did you think of this wonderful movie?
I thought it was a really cute movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The whole time it's humorous and sweet, and there's different moments of finding out what's going on with her and whatnot. But the cop sequence was beyond the funniest part.
Okay.
And the whole time, we were just thinking, because I watched this with Dorian and Shay, of course, in the living room. We were just like, we need to give this man YouTube. He's watching all this on TV. This is set in present day. There is YouTube.
Right.
Let him go. And I think we just kept zoning in on the logistics of it, and Dorian begged me to say this on this podcast, but I made a comment that was, so he gets overheated and he will die, right? There is no way, even if he was anatomically correct, to be able to have sex with her, because, and I quote, the immense heat of a vagina would melt him.
That is correct. That they could not consummate their love while he remained a snowman.
The immense heat.
Things I thought I would never say out loud in public, and given the things I say out loud in public, that's going some.
Well, I also want to correct you, because they didn't actually kiss at the dance, because otherwise the spell would have been broken at that point, because it was the first kiss of true love that actually made him come to life. Otherwise, we would have saved like 20 minutes of that movie.
Okay.
And none of that extra shit would have happened.
I thought they did kiss once, and it was like like they did it, and then suddenly one of them realized, wait a minute, this isn't a good idea. But if I'm wrong,
it was one of the suspense things where they were about to, and then she turns around. I don't know. Anyway,
doesn't matter. Yes,
doesn't matter. But no, I thought it was a very heartwarming movie and a very sweet one. I think the funniest thing of, like, I've been seeing this on the internet, and I said this before that I wanted to watch it anyway, because everyone was like, what is this movie? It's just
yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
You're gonna talk about leaning into like entendres and like, you know what you have here and you just go for it. I've said a couple of times recently, I don't think we have a lot of really going for it right now in Hollywood. It's just a lot of safe choices. Then you see something like this and go, oh, there is. You just got to know where to find it.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, yeah, Netflix, the people making this movie and Netflix and everything took one look at those Hallmark movies. It's like, what if a Hallmark Christmas movie, but cheekily kind of pornographic, but take the porno out? Sure, Hot Frosty. Jesse, what did you think of this movie? And did you ever in your life, in your 40 some odd years of life, think that another dude would be like, I need you to watch Hot Frosty with me and
Yeah,
talk about
no. The answer to that is no.
it?
One
Hard
of
no.
the problems I have with these types of movies is how kind of predictable I feel that they are. I feel like there's a formula there. Like,
Sure.
A to B, what we're going to get is she's going to fall in love with this guy, and something's going to happen that brings Frosty to life, and he's going to stay around. You cannot like just introduce this as a love story and then have him melt away legitimately, and then that be the end. I knew where we were going to go and where we want to end up at the end of this thing.
Let me tell you
So
how
I think,
I was pulling for him to die.
oh,
I wanted a tragic ending.
I mean, she'd already suffered the loss of her own husband. There's no way they're going to do that again to this girl. So I knew that was off the table.
I mean, I almost thought they were going to follow the song. I'll be back again someday.
Yeah,
like, what if he just comes back every Christmas time?
Right.
Oh no,
right.
I wanted her to
could
take
see
a
that.
bucket of his puddle and like throw it into the Hawaiian waters.
She like, yeah, yes. Well, puts him in an urn, keeps him around, and
Man, you can't bring that bucket on a plane. It's my boyfriend.
Granted, I did enjoy a little bit of this film. I loved. I am a fan of Craig Robinson. I am a fan of is it Joe? My goodness, what was his last name? Joe Truglio. Oh my goodness, Joe Truglio. Yeah, I'm a fan of his too. I mean, both of those guys kind of kept me laughing. I thought it was pretty funny. I did have problems with, because looking at it from like, okay, this town just legitimately, first off, it's the doctor. Like, the one person she has to convince the doctor.
My favorite character in this whole movie.
She's immediately like, oh yeah, he's a snowman. I'm like, where did you get your degree?
Look, from Vulcan. When you've eliminated, Dorian will probably yell it from another room because I'm going to fuck it up. But when you've eliminated the improbable, all that's left is the impossible.
Sure.
Like everything else about him made no sense. The only thing that made sense was like I could follow her logic. I thought that was fine.
I thought she was going to get on the phone with the government immediately afterwards and bring in a SWAT team, dissect this guy and figure out what's going on. But no, that's not what happened.
Other movie, my friend.
Yes. Yeah, and I had no idea until today, doing some research, what's going through your head, Mark. You got something going through your head. You're laughing about.
I came here to help you get over your trauma. Oh, stop!
They're like taking a torch to him. It's a
darker movie.
Oh yeah. I did not realize until looking at the reviews today that the guy who played Dustin Milligan, who played Jack Snowman, was the vet from Schitt's Creek. I had no idea that was the case, and he looks nothing like him. It was frightening to see. Well, frightening to think of the change that he went through to look like he does on this. Granted, he's pretty, he looks way better than I do with his shirt off. But in Schitt's Creek, he didn't look like, he looks like a person in Schitt's Creek. Here, he looks like, just like you said, a Greek god. So that kind of stood out to me as being very surprising. But yeah, as far as enjoyment, I mean, it was fun to poke fun at the movie the whole time. It was me, my wife, and a friend of hers from work who sat down and watched this thing. And I every once in a while, I'll just yell at Hot Frosty because I thought it was hilarious. Just right in the middle of the movie. And the old lady's like ogling him, he's just this. That was pretty funny. You want me to get behind you and push? It's like, yeah, I'm looking at my notes here. There's really not much else to say. I mean, it was fun.
Can I tell you? And this may completely blow away my credibility as a reviewer,
and a
thinker, and an intellectual.
Uh-oh.
on a 3-point scale where 3 is contender for bottom 5, 2 is somewhere in the middle, and 1 is a contender for my top 10, I'm giving
What?
this a 1.
I have not. Okay, wait a second. Say it one more time.
Yeah. Okay. 3 is a contender for my bottom 5.
Okay.
2 is somewhere in the middle, just not ranked.
Gotcha.
And a 1 is a contender for my top 10.
Okay.
This gets a 1 from me.
This gets a 1. Wow.
Hell yeah.
Top 10 out of what? Like of all time, or what are you saying? Like top 10
this
out
year.
of.
I gotta.
Okay.
So yeah, this last quarter has been hyper focused. I've been hyper focused on the end of the year stuff. So which is why we did some of the shows that we did. And I started having to think about because last 2 years I've had to cram and figure out a ranking and try to remember what the fuck I even saw. So I've been paying more attention to it as of late. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be in the top 10. I got to rewrite.
I'm tuning into that fucking show. I want to hear. I want to hear that shit go down.
Look, function and meeting the criteria is a thing for me.
Sure.
This isn't supposed to be Avengers Endgame.
No,
this isn't. I'm not saying it's a nominee for Best Picture. Like fucking Honora, Amelia Perez, Hot Frosty. I'm not. That's not my contention. My contention is that they set a goal, they achieve that goal. My complaints about this movie are basically one thing, and I'll get to it in a second because I want to gush about the movie first, and then I will complain about Craig Robinson. Because 20 minutes, that's all anyone wants. Just tell us already. Not to be Debbie Downer, but as a cancer survivor, and this being a cancer allegory, this movie did touch me. This movie reached me, and maybe that's why I'm reacting to it. Maybe some would say artificially, more so than others. But I think a story about making the most of the time that you have really resonates with me. It's certainly a motto that I've come to live by. I don't want to waste my time with people, places, or things. I don't know when my time is done. I'm lucky. It'll be 5 years this summer. I've nearly died 2 or 3 times. Jesse was aware of one of those times, and I yelled at him for kicking me off a podcast mid dying. How dare you? You were dying, sir. What was I supposed to do? And while I was the patient in that situation, I guess in this scenario I would have been the husband, as I actually was. I sympathize a lot, maybe overly sympathize with Lacey Chabert's character of somebody who my heart was with this person and that person's gone, and I don't quite know how to. I don't know how to love myself without them. It's something that I've been doing a lot of therapy with other people through Better Health, not to advertise that, but one of the things that I talk about with my patients is your ability to function as a single person, not solely as part of another relationship, as part of another person. Learning how to, as this character says, love yourself and live with yourself, live with all of your thoughts and feelings and emotions, as awkward as they may be at times and uncomfortable. Being able to do that and function, living with somebody instead of for them or because of them, is something I'm really heavy into pushing. And that's a lot of this movie. That's a lot of the message of this movie. So I really liked all of that. Part of the reason why I like the Christmas season and I like Christmas movies is I like the purity of them. Good old fashioned, traditional. I know some people struggle with the word traditional. Take a breath and a Xanax. Some traditional values, traditional mores. Not everything has to be, dirty, grimy, against the grain, counterculture stuff. We can have some pure traditional things too. And the movie is just laden with that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of the whole Pete's Dragon thing, where we have a mythical creature who comes to help a person in need. And when that person in need is able to function again and learns their lessons and is able to grow and evolve, that mythical creature moves on. That's certainly the original Frosty the Snowman. The Frosty comes to life, helps these kids out, and then the season's over. Frosty goes away. Pete's Dragon. Elliot comes to Pete. Pete, finds a new family. Elliot moves on to another boy. So I like that element of this too, that this character came into this person's life to show her how to live again. And, and when all was said and done, he, I'm not kidding when I said Pinocchio, like Pinocchio, earns his real boyness, and they are able to be happy together. Having moved onward and upward. That's all great. As much as I'm not a romantic, and I'm not into romance movies, when one is made available to me and I watch it and it actually reaches me, it's a nice feeling. This was a nice, good old-fashioned romance. People learned and loved. It's great. Touched my heart. I know some people are making a huge deal out of, oh, Jesus, if that had been a woman and the people have been ogling them like that, oh my God, get over it. We're allowed to find men hot. It's fine. If anything, we're turning that sort of thing upside. Look, Jennifer Lawrence last year in, God, I can't remember the name of the movie now, but there's one movie where Jennifer Lawrence is naked and fighting people on a beach. It was supposed to return to it was supposed to be a return to the sexy comedy, and I wish I could remember the name of it now. Look it up, Mick. It's a really good movie. It's not quite as sexy or funny as I thought it was going to be, but it's good shit. But yeah, Jennifer Lawrence naked on a beach and punching people. It's fun. Yeah, it's fine. It's all fine. Let people be naked and ogled if that's what they choose to do. For God's sakes, let people have agency. Anyway, my one major complaint about this, and then we'll move on to our little secret after I give you guys the last word, is I understand in screenplay structure there has to be hurdles. One fucking hurdle in this movie, and it's Craig Robinson. And while everybody else's logic and behavior I could track, including the doctor. As I said before, when it was like, well, there's nothing there, all the evidence points to he's probably a snowman. I would like to live in a world where there's magic. This is an example of magic. I'm going to run with this. And Lacey Sabrina's like, what am I supposed to do here? And everybody else in the town is just like, sure, let's just live in a world with magic. We'll all be a little better off for it. That all actually tracks for me. My point is they're all acting like human beings, and the only one isn't is Craig Robinson. He's acting like a complete psycho.
He's going to get his villain. He's going to get this guy who broke into his
problem is this is Craig Robinson's exact same character from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, what was his name? Daggone it, I can't remember. I'll figure it out.
Like a girl's name or something like that. But
Judy.
Yeah, Judy.
Yeah.
Judy. Yeah, I hate him. And this is a personal thing for me. I struggle with a lot of comedies and a lot of romantic comedies because they write characters so broadly they stop behaving like humans, and that takes me out of the movie. And he was so bad. Look, I work with cops, and the first sign of we don't want to prosecute this guy, we don't want to press charges, we don't care, they'd have been like, good, so problem solved. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
We're going back to looking at porn on our phones or whatever it is, cops do. We're done here. His one-man crusade to keep this town crime-free. Like the one line in the movie, and because of me, there have been no murders. There have been no murders here for 100 years. You're welcome. Like fucking Maui. It was the same beat. It was the same beat for 90 minutes. It drove me up the fucking wall. And then his turn at the end, for that kind of return, he needed to have been shamed more. And I think the only reason why I don't cry harder about it is because it's his son that finally pushes him over. And when your son's shaming you, it's like, all right, if I'm going to listen to anybody on earth, I'll listen to my own kid. But I think up to that point, it just felt like, but we got to that point in the movie, he was calling him a terrorist because he had no fingerprints. And then suddenly it was like, but father, he called Craig Robinson father, but father, he's my friend and the town loves him. Fine. And then he dies. And it was like, oh, that should have been a little bit more earned and a little bit stronger. But again, I'm quibbling at a fucking Netflix 90s style rom-com and going, beef your script here.
Right.
Nobody on earth agrees with my point of view. They're just like, I didn't even notice it. Hey, film critic in me. It's my one thing I'm going to hit. Mick, you want to add to anything that I've said or remark on it? If not, I'll throw it over to Jesse.
No, I think I'm good.
Jesse, you got any last words before we move on?
I guess I did want to bring up something I learned today about the Netflix Christmas universe or the Netflix cinematic universe. I think it's Christmas universe, which apparently there were a couple mentions to other Netflix Christmas, like references to other Christmas specials or
Wonderful.
Christmas movies. Aldovia was mentioned, which I think happened. And I believe there's a joke where Kathy is watching TV and says that Lindsay Lohan is what they're watching a Lindsay Lohan Christmas special, Netflix Christmas special. And she says, it looks like a girl I went to high school with, which is a Mean Girls reference.
Yep.
So anyway, I thought that was pretty neat. Learning a little bit about that today, but anyway, I mean, it is what it was. It was kind of what I was expecting. Hot Frosty, ladies and gentlemen, Hot Frosty.
Yep. Hot Frosty. Come on over to my place. I'll give you a Hot Frosty.
Jeez,
and then it'll be our little secret. All right. Speaking of
which, my goodness.